Hi, come with me to the mat. And now we begin our journey, the first of 21 practices. Laying down on your mat. Extend your feet to the corners of the mat, your arms about 45 degrees from the body, palms to face up, rolling the shoulder blades under. If you find it better to place your hands on your belly and on your rib cage, make that offering to yourself. Inviting you to settle in. Make some adjustments here as we set the intention to come in towards ourselves. Not coming into our thoughts, but coming into the experience and the sensations of the body with a neutral mind of observation. Maybe spread your feet a little wider, let the toes flop out. Inviting you to take 3 cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Decompress completely. Inhale that in-breath, carrying life-giving oxygen and prana. And the out-breath, releasing. We'll do some active muscle release. As you inhale, I invite you to make fists with your toes. Squeeze your toes. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And exhale. Soften. Do the same thing with your hands and your arms. Make fists with your hands. Maybe arms elevate off the floor. Squeeze, 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 and soften. Pressing your heels into the floor. Elevating your glutes. Squeeze the muscles into the bones on the legs. Squeeze, 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 and soften and release. Now tightening every muscle in your body, your arms, your legs. They may hover. Squeeze, 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 and release. Roll your shoulders back and down. Notice how already your body is a little more receptive to practice. And if it feels appropriate, very gently rock your head from side to side. Let's begin to place one hand on the lower belly and one hand on the outer rib cage, just in a relaxed way. You can start to connect a little more intentionally to where the breath is in your body right now. And of course, if your back is uncomfortable, you just bend your knees here. We start to connect to this yogic breath where we allow for the breath to move through not only the length, but the width of our lungs. Feeling the breath move into the lowest part of the lungs, letting the belly expand, the rib cage expand, and the chest slightly lift. And then as the breath leaves the body, the chest falls, the ribs soften, the belly completes its journey to the spine. After you've connected to the breath, a reminder to do so throughout the practice. Maybe bring your feet together, extend your arms above your head, get long through both the front and the back of the body, inviting you to cross the right ankle over the left. Maybe hinge your upper body over as well. So you're creating a C curvature of your spine. Soften the shoulders. You can separate your hands here and bend the elbows if necessary. Feeling that breath into the right side of the body. Taking the opposite leg over, crossing the ankles, and hinging your upper body to the other side. This is called Banana Asana, appropriate name. Feel your breath a few times here. Separating your feet back towards the width of your mat. Begin to bend your knees. Your feet are about hip width apart. They might be slightly wider. Take your arms away from your body. Begin to gently let your thigh bones rock back and forth in your pelvis. See if you can keep your pelvis relatively neutral here, although there will be some movement. Just waking up the hips. Breathing in as the knees come to center and breathing out as they discover a side. Let your knees knock together. Maybe walk your feet out towards the edges of your mat. Feel the broadness across your sacrum. Maybe the arms stretch above the head. Now let's bring our ankles back under our knees. And once again, rocking side to side. This time allowing your pelvis to come along with you so you get a little bit more into your low back region. It's gentle. We're never flailing the body quickly, always connecting the movement with the breath. Allow the right knee to draw in towards the chest, keeping your upper body mostly relaxed. And then on exhalation, engaging belly, lift nose to knee. Do the same thing other side. Draw the left knee in. Engage abdominals, slowly lifting up. And lower the head, shoulders back down. Release that left foot. Feet once again hip width apart. Rolling over onto one side, support your head with your hands. Pressing through one hand, helping yourself up. You'll come into a seated pose, always utilizing props underneath your hips, maybe a blanket or a meditation cushion, as we'll be here for a few minutes. Check with your spine, allow it to be dignified, allow it to be honoring its natural curves. Placing your left hand and then your right hand on your heart. Take a moment to really drop into your heart space. Maybe first connecting to the physical beating heart and then moving into something more subtle. That place that is infinite and boundless as you set your intention. Once that's set, inviting you to gently let the chin draw towards your chest and maybe just tracing your collarbone side to side. Inhale, coming up. Interlacing your fingers, placing them underneath your chin, elbows extending wide. Exhale, as the belly draws the spine, squeeze the elbows together. Take care of your cervical spine here. You don't want you to drop your head back. Inhale, elbows wide. Exhale, elbows squeeze together like they're resisting air. Inhale, feel the breath expand in the ribs. And exhale, navel to spine, squeeze those elbows together a couple more times. Finishing up, releasing the hands back on the thighs. And to gently let one ear towards the shoulder. Finding a lateral flexion in the area of the neck. As you connect to your breath. Inhale through center, taking the opposite ear towards the shoulder. The shoulder stays relaxed. We're not drawing the shoulder up towards the ear, just feeling a lengthening in the side of the neck. The breath continues fluidly. Inhale, and back through center, releasing one hand to the floor. Inhale, opposite arm, sweeping it up and over, moving that lateral flexion into the side body, into the spine. If extending the arm above the head isn't available, place the hand on the head. Breathing into that exposed side body. Press the floor away. Inhale, come up. And switch sides, release that hand down. Sweeping other arm up and over. Creating a lot of space through those exposed ribs. Maybe gazing down towards the floor. Modify that top arm as needed. Pressing back up through center, releasing the arm down. Interlacing your arms in front of your body, eagle arms. And we'll have the right elbow on top, keeping those shoulders at a more neutral height. Maybe the palms come together, maybe the forearms if interlinking the arms is not available. Breathing here in the back of the body. Inhale, take arms wide. Exhale, sweeping the same arm under. I'm going to do this 4 times, 2 times each side. Inhale, out wide, and exhale. Wrapping the arms under, making sure you're letting one arm switch sides each time. Inhale, takes arms out wide, and exhale last time, eagle arms, breathing across your upper back. Inhale, arms out wide. Exhale, release those palms. And start to circle from your pelvis, so creating this circular motion as you let your body hinge forward on the exhale, and just circling around here, getting into the joints of the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders, the spine, the pelvis. Nice and fluid. We'll switch sides. Exhaling forward, inhaling as you sweep up and around. Exhale. And I'm going to switch my legs because I forgot to do that. It's always a good idea to switch your legs when you switch sides. Now allow kind of a side-to-side motion, very fluid. Just explore some organic movement here. And then realigning the spine, begin to draw one shoulder up towards ear, circle it back, around and down, and then switch sides like you're massaging your shoulders. Inhaling and exhaling again at your own speed. Maybe arms rise up, maybe those movements become a little bit larger. You might even look towards the shoulder that you're moving. Inhale, both arms maybe circling up simultaneously. Notice as you bring those arms up how that breath expands into the lungs. Arms out wide, we're coming to that lateral flexion again. Maybe it feels a little different. Hinging over to one side, inhale, coming up, and then exhale over to the other side. This time we're doing it a little bit quicker and releasing that hand down. We're going to walk the hands forward so that we can uncross our legs and come into a tabletop position. Fingers are spread wide, the front of your shoulders at the creases of your wrist. Inhaling and exhaling through cow and cat. So as you exhale, looking towards the navel, rounding out the spine and spinal flexion. As you inhale, collarbones shine forward, maybe even bending into the elbows. Again, let this be a little bit more organic. Connecting breath and movement. Exhaling generally as we close our body and inhaling as we open. So as you inhale, collarbones forward, belly expands, and exhale, press the earth away with the knees and the hands and engage your abdomen. Going to widen the distance between our hands and our knees. Walk your hands about one hand length forward so you can start to get into your hips and into your shoulders so those ears can drop in between those arms. Those arms are strong. So exhale, draw the hips back to the heels. Inhale, shoulders over wrists. Make sure you're not collapsing in between your shoulder blades. You're keeping that upper back nice and strong. Make sure the shoulders don't surpass the wrists as well. I'm just going to rotate so you can see me from the side. Tuck my toes so I can also start to wake up the under part of my feet. You might encourage yourself to do the same. And walk our hands over to one side, again coming into that lateral flexion of the spine. Breathing here. If you need to soften your elbows, do so. Take that breath right down to the base of the spine. As you breathe in, and right up through the crown as you breathe out. Inhale, come up, walk over to the other side, and exhale, bow down, lengthening that spine over that one thigh. Again, on the diagonal here, and intentionally breathing and feeling that breath. You're going to come back to tabletop. So I just have a bit of a clothing thing. There we go, fixing that. Shoulders above the wrists, fingers spreading wide, knees placed underneath the hips, and then exhale, drawing back again. I'm keeping my toes tucked here and elevating my hips into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So while you're in downward dog, you're intentionally pressing the earth away with your hands, activating the muscles in your upper back, and the crown is extending down into the space between the hands. It may very well be that the heels don't make the earth. They don't need to. Just feel that stretch right through from the wrist to the sitting bones, from the sitting bones to the heels. Bending those knees, coming back into tabletop. Lengthening the toes along the floor. Exhale back into Balasana, child's pose. Into a soft child's pose here. So we're softening the shoulders, softening the elbows, and perhaps supporting the head with the hands. You can always use a block, of course. Bringing those hands forward once again. Preparing to bear weight, lifting back up into tabletop, fingers spread wide, middle finger approximately towards the top of the mat, the wrist parallel with the top of the mat. Elevating your hips into downward facing dog. Again, this is a strong downward dog. Inhale, right leg up to the sky, three-legged dog. Exhale, lowering it down. Inhale, left leg up. And exhale, lowering it down. We're going to start to walk the feet towards the hands, coming into forward fold. So downward dog was our first forward fold. Now we're just asking a little bit more. Make sure your quadriceps are active anytime you're in a forward fold. You have the option of taking opposite elbows, maybe resting hands on shins, or even resting your arms on your thighs. First and foremost, taking good care of the integrity of your spine. If you find that yourself folding at the navel, I'm going to have you back up. We're going to rise up through the strength of the legs, never dangling on the spine, feet hip distance apart. Take a look to make sure your feet can be parallel here. Inhale, reaching up, taking one wrist, reaching up and over again, another lateral flexion of the spine here, moving into that side body. Very rarely do we give our spine the opportunity to move through lateral flexion in day to day. So I'd like to increase our opportunities here on the mat. Maybe taking a wrist, maybe releasing the arms down if the shoulders are aggravated. We're going to take it up and over to the other side. Both feet stay rooted to the earth, feeling length through the exposed side body. Modify arms as needed. Inhale, coming back up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Step your feet to the top of your mat, encouraging them to be hip distance apart, thighs engage, root down to rise up through the fingers, and exhale, folding forward. Hands on the block or on the floor. Inhale, looking up partway, and exhale, bowing down. Step the right leg and then the left leg back as you come into plank. Option knees to the ground. Draw back into child's pose. Active child's pose here, fingers wide, arms strong, crown extending. Breathing through the back of your body. Shifting forward, coming up into downward facing dog. Lunging the right foot forward, drawing it inside that right wrist, and then the left foot stepping back. Strong thighs, bowing down to whatever's available. You're meant to be feeling this through the back of the body. Inhale, pressing up through, strong legs, strong belly. Exhale to heart center. I'm just going to shift to a sideways view. You can stay standing at the top of your mat. Inhale, circling the arms up. And exhale, folding forward. Inhale, look up partway. And exhale, stepping one knee back. Let's take our right knee first. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Coming into Crescent lunge. We want to make sure the pelvic floor is strong here. Imagine that you're trying to squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. Position of front knee over top of front ankle is important. That top of front thigh bone parallel to the floor. Let's take the wrist and lean over to one side. And breathing here. Inhale back up through center and exhale, planting the hands on underneath those shoulders, picking the back foot up and stepping forward. Sweeping the arms up through strong legs. And exhale, folding through again. Remember to keep those quadriceps active. Stepping your left leg back this time. Lowering the knee to the floor. We want there to be a lot of distance here, so we're getting into the hip flexors. So distance between the front knee and the back knee. Really scissoring those legs. Now sweeping up, we're in a back bend here. We're starting to warm up the spine for our back bends. Strengthen the legs. Again, check the position of your front knee. Want it to be above the ankle. And take one wrist and lean over to the side, exposing a little bit more that lateral flexion. Make sure you're not pinching your shoulders here. Inhale back up through center and exhale, plant those hands, step the back foot forward. Strong thighs, root to rise. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. And exhale, folding through again. Nice slow flow this morning. Inhale, right leg steps back. Finding that crescent lunge once again. Coming into a spinal twist, just adding on. So the leg that's back is the hand that's on the ground. So right leg is back, right hand is on the ground. Inhale, left arm up to the sky, or perhaps wrapping around your low back. Breathe here. Exhale, release the left hand. Peel that right knee off the floor. As an option, you can keep it back down low. Pressing through the back heel and through the crown of your head, coming into our second spinal twist. So reaching from your heart through both directions, through both hands, and that back leg is really strong and active, pressing that back thigh to the sky. Release the top hand down, bend into the back knee, and extend that front leg so your left leg is long. Toe peels away from the floor, coming into another hamstring stretch. Checking the hips stay above the knee. Stepping forward. We'll do that on the other side. Press down, root to rise. Inhale, lengthening up, and exhale, folding through. Inhale, look up part way, and exhale, stepping left foot back, lowering the knee to the floor, and then peeling it off the floor. Beautiful. Keeping the left leg very active, left hand reaches the ground. Inhale, right arm spirals up as you pivot that chest towards that inner thigh. Option, arm around the low back. You can look forward, down, or up. Back leg is really strong here, and so is the front thigh, really strong. A few more breaths, and then exhale, release that top arm down. Draw the hip over top of that back knee, that back thigh bone vertical, and start to fold forward. Step back foot forward. Press down, inhale, root to rise. And exhale, folding through again. Inhale, stepping right leg back. Preparing it for Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. So the back foot is open about 30 degrees. There's strong muscular action here through the legs. Pelvis facing towards the narrow part of your mat, the front of your mat. Arms can rest on the hips should you like. So there's a strong sense of internal rotation in that back leg. We're going to open now into Warrior 2. So maybe widen your stance. Check the position of your feet and the front knee. So allowing that front bent knee to track towards the middle of the foot. Arms extending parallel to the floor. Muscular action in the thighs here. Don't just drop down into the pubic bone region. We want that to be really intact muscularly as you connect here to your breath. Interlacing the hands, preparing for humble warrior. Exhale, folding forward. Strong legs to help you from dropping down, strong side body muscles. Inhale, coming back up, coming back to warrior two. Steep knee bend through the front knee, and then lengthen out that front knee, preparing for Trikonasana. Stretching towards the top leg, opening the arms wide from the heart. Again, both legs are active here. Imagine squeezing the two ends of your mats together. So you might have a tendency of trying to press them out, but draw those feet, muscular energy. Both sides of the rib cage lengthening, trying to keep that side bodies equally long, bending into that front knee. Inhale, sweeping the arm up, and let your back arm just gently rest on the leg, not pressing into it, or wrap it around your low back if you have a tendency to just drop into that back wrist. You want to keep open, expose, and breathe. Arms coming out wide. A little bit of a challenging transition. Peel your back heel off the ground so you're once again squaring your hips to the front of the mat. Stacking back ankle over the creases of the toes or lowering the back knee to the ground. Coming back into a crescent lunge. Modify arms as needed. Maybe coming on the diagonal, using a little bit more strength here. Maintain the integrity and stability of that front knee. Peeling the back knee off the floor. Step the back foot forward. We'll do that all on the other side. First we'll come up, inhale, sweeping up. And exhale to fold through again. This time it'll be your left foot that steps back. So stepping that left foot back, preparing for warrior one. Pivot that back foot open about 30 degrees. Really extend the outer edge of that back foot to the floor. Try to avoid dropping into the arch of the foot. Inhale, coming up, deep knee bend through that front knee. Knee about 90 degrees. And always tracking towards the middle of the foot. Again, finding a back bend here. A little bit of a back bend, doesn't have to be a lot. Let's take that open into warrior two. So I always like to adjust my stance slightly. So the back foot is parallel now with the narrow part of your mat. If anything, the toes tuck slightly in. We don't want the toes pointing away from the body. So front foot pointing to the top of the mat, and the outer edge, the back foot parallel with the back of the mat. Virabhadrasana B, warrior two. Front thigh bone working towards parallel with the floor. Interlace the hands behind the back and exhale, bowing down inside that front knee. Maybe the hands, the knuckles reach towards the sky, keeping the chest space open, shoulders away from the ears. And still stretching the outer edge of that back foot down to the mat. So the pinky toe of that back foot is rooting down. Inhale through the strength of your legs. Come back up into warrior two. Extend your arms wide. And then prepare for triangle pose, lengthening out that front leg. Extending your arms away from your heart. Reaching that top arm up to the sky and the bottom arm down towards the floor. Nice long side bodies on both sides of the ribs, not rounding the spine. Strong, look at all the triangular shapes we're making with the body. Bending into that front knee once again. So it's your right knee that's forward. And opening up that right arm to the sky, wrapping the left arm around the thigh. Or just gently resting it on the back leg, as long as you're not pressing into the back leg with your hand. Breathing here. Spreading your arms wide again. Just preparing to pivot here. So peeling your back heel off, coming back into a crescent lunge. We need to change the position of our pelvis. Inhale, rising up into crescent warrior. And then we're going to take that on the diagonal, either with the back knee lifted or lowered down to the ground. You choose. Strong side body muscles here, strong legs. Strong support through your pelvic floor, Mula Bandha. Step the back foot forward. You'll look up part way and strong quadriceps. Taking your big toes if that's available, or rest your hands on your shins or your thighs. I'd rather that you maintain the neutrality of your spine and come up somewhat. You don't need to come all the way forward. Really important to keep the quadriceps active. Maybe coming into gorilla pose, maybe the hands walk underneath the feet, big toes sort of tickling the wrists. Releasing the hands onto the floor or onto blocks. I'm going to bend into the right knee, left hand to the ground, pivot your right arm up to the sky or wrapping it around your low back. Extend that arm up and exhale, release it down. Now bending your left knee, right leg long, right hand on the floor. You wrap the left arm around the low back. Release that back down, both feet parallel, and then walk them out. Toes pointing out this time, knees pointing out towards the baby toes as you come down into a squat position. We're going to avoid rolling into the arches of the feet, taking good care that the knees stay safe. Come back into neutral position of your feet hip distance apart, toes pointing forward. Preparing for warrior 3 variation, extend your right leg behind you, pressing through the heel. Strong bellies here, strong pelvic floor, strong legs. And open this into half moon pose, so our first balance pose. Pivoting the top hip over the bottom hip, so peel your right hip and stack it above the left. Maybe looking down to the floor, right arm opening up to the sky, left hand down to the ground. Reaching through your crown and through your back heel. Keep that breath fluid here. We have a tendency of holding the breath in our balance poses, but keep it moving. Looking back down to the floor, release the hand. Square off your pelvis against the earth. Do that on the other side. Extend your left leg back. Reach through your heel. Engage your quadricep. Right hand and right foot stay on the floor as you inhale and open your left hand up to the sky, and you're stacking left hip above right. Maybe the hand rests on the hip. Again, that bottom hand can be on a block. You always have your props nearby if you need them. Wrist stacking above wrist. Really reaching here long through the body. Just as much as you're pressing through the back foot, you're pressing into the ground with your standing leg. Releasing top arm down, square your pelvis off, release the leg back down to the floor. Bringing big toes together, heels slightly apart, or option to keep them hip distance apart as we come into chair pose. Modify the arms as needed. Want to look down, make sure you can see your toes. Again, there is a little bit of a back bend here, so please don't tuck the tailbone. Allow for the naturalness of the spine. Inhale, come up, and exhale, hands to heart center. You're going to stay right where you are. I'm just pivoting on my mats here to give you a different view. We're going to prepare for another balance pose, tree pose. So standing on your left leg, we'll bring the right foot onto the ankle. Notice the pelvis stays nice and neutral here. Just as much as you're pressing down into the earth, you're rising up through your crown. That right foot may come to the outer part of your calf or the medial part of your calf, maybe opening into star pose, reaching through all 4 limbs. Slowly come back to center, lowering that right foot down. I have double mat, so it's a little squishy, so I'm just going to switch to the side here. So the right foot is on the ground, pivoting your left hip open, left foot resting on the ankle, the floor. I'm going to ask that you avoid the kneecap. You press that, lift it up, and maybe press it into your upper thigh if that's your tree variation. Keep working that bent knee out to the side, so beautiful external rotation here of the hip. Neutral pelvis. Taking this into your variation of star. So reaching through all 4 limbs, strong here. And then slowly coming back through center, bending that extended leg and placing it back down on the floor. Stepping both feet wide. Check the position of your outer feet. Make sure they're parallel with the outer edges of your mat, the narrow sides of your mat. Really take a look here. Often I make that cue. And then I still see people having their toes pointing out wide. So if anything, I'd like to see your big toes slightly tucking in. Bringing your hands to your low back, press into the earth with your feet, engage your inner thighs, your quadriceps, and exhale, coming into a forward fold. Maybe having your blocks underneath you just in case the floor is too far away. Hands positioned underneath the shoulders, either on the floor or on blocks. I'm just moving back slightly, working with some mat issues. Maybe your forward fold is a little bit deeper. If you're quite flexible, we work on maintaining stability with that flexibility. So keeping the quadriceps engaged, pressing into the floor. If this is quite easy for you, then you narrow your stance slightly. And always quadriceps engaged. You're going to hear me like a broken record. We don't want to create hyper flexibility. Always stability and balanced with mobility. Stability, flexibility creates healthy mobility. We're going to walk the hands forward, coming into a wide downward facing dog. Heels still working towards the ground, ears reaching out of the shoulders. Walk those hands back underneath the shoulders, wrists underneath the front of the shoulders. Bend into your right knee. Maybe pivot your foot open slightly to maintain appropriate position for your knee. Now this can be very challenging, so just do what you can. Again, you want to make sure you're not dropping into that back of that left knee, so long, strong muscles in that extended leg. Pivoting back up through center. Bending into your left knee. Start to lengthen that right leg long, keeping strong action in the leg muscles of that extended leg, toes pointing to the sky. Breathe. Coming back through center, hands on the floor, maybe readjusting as needed. And coming back up through center. Bringing those knees back underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders, or extend long as you come into child's pose, more passive child's pose, balasana. Maybe a block under the forehead or stacking fists. Breathing here. Felt that strong muscular energy in your legs, just letting everything soften here. And begin to elevate. We're going to come into camel pose. So checking the position of the shoulders and the hips and the knees in one beautiful long line. Planting your hands on your low back. I'm keeping my toes tucked. You might want to extend one arm up to the sky. Start to explore how that feels in the front of the hips. Maintain the abdominal action here, so you're supporting your low back. If it's in your practice, hands maybe reach for your heels, but never at the sacrifice of your spine. Hips continue to press forward. Glutes are active, lengthening and opening through the front of the body. And if it's in your practice, a full variation, lengthening the top of the feet on the floor and hands coming onto the soles of the feet. Not dropping the head back here. Just beautiful. Coming back up and then lowering the sitting bones down. Coming back into balasana, just a counter pose here from our back bend. So flexion and extension. Cross the legs, or however you'd like to get to seated. Move the flesh back, but avoid going wide, so maybe move that flesh back. Maybe cross your right leg over your left. Hug that leg in with that left arm. And begin to pivot the chest towards that bent knee. Nice tall spine. Inhale, lengthening up through the crown, and exhale, looking over that left shoulder. Long, fluid breaths. Now coming back through center, take a look at that bent foot, that bent knee. You're going to hold it with your left hand. Open up wide. Nice and tall here through your spine, not dropping back into the sacrum. And crossing that right knee over the left, coming into shoelace pose. And breathing here. extending the right leg. Taking that left foot over top of the right, outer edge of the knee. Inhale, reach up tall through the spine. As you exhale, rotating the chest towards that bent knee. Hug it in nice and close. So right leg long, left knee drawn in. Taking a look over that back shoulder. The option of wrapping the arm around the low back. The idea of reaching the crown up, the sitting bones down. And that rotation starts way down low. Take a look towards that left foot. You're going to hold it with your right hand, or maybe hold the under part of the leg. Just do what you can. Looking back towards that foot, take that left knee, stack it over that long right leg, so knee over knee. Inhale and exhale, folding forward. Notice the integrity of the spine, it's not collapsing. Notice the long leg is strong. Inhale, coming up, and exhale, releasing the left foot down beside the right. Inhale and exhale, coming into forward fold, Paschimottanasana. A couple of options here. You have a strap, or if you have blocks, if you're really tight in the hamstrings, you'll modify as needed. Notice my feet aren't flopping out. The heels are reaching right out of the knees, and the knees are reaching out of the hips, so beautiful long line. And so if you're really tight in the hamstrings, you could place blocks underneath the backs of the knees, because that will be your forward fold. If you prefer a strap to maintain the integrity of your spine, then use a strap. Notice I'm not collapsing at my navel, I'm not rounding my ribs. Maybe there's a little bit more available. Maybe you take your hands to your feet. Breathe here. Another option, if the feet are available, is a block at the end of the feet. So you pull gently the block towards the feet to keep them in a neutral position. Tendency of kind of getting floppy here. If you have really strong glutes, sometimes the feet flop out, or if we neglect the inner thighs. So anyway, let's prepare for Navasana. Slowly moving from seated down to the floor using abdominal strength. Keeping the chin slightly tucked in. Don't strain the neck. Hold the back of the thighs as needed. And lowering the spine down to the floor. Let's walk those ankles underneath the knees. Arms close to the body. Feet parallel. Inhale, lifting your hips. You want to keep those inner thighs parallel. So action through your glutes and action through your inner thighs here. Inhale as you lift those hips. And exhale as you lower down. You might want to use a block as a reminder to keep the stability of the position of your legs. Inhale, hips to rise. Exhale, lowering down. Strong bellies. Inhale, opening up. And exhale, belly contracts as you lower back down. Inhale, hips rise. Exhale, hips lower. Option, arms above the head, same movement through the hips. Make sure your back of your neck is free here. So we want not to be crunching the back of our neck. Another option, interlacing the hands behind the back, rolling the shoulder blades, your scapula under, as you extend the arms long, pressing them into the ground and reaching towards your feet. The action of the ribs coming towards the chin. Even breathing. So slowly to lower down, draw the knees in, remove the block if you have it. Wrap the hands around the thighs or the shins. Maybe lift the nose towards the knee. Lowering back down. Extending the left leg long, draw the right knee into your chest and just let it rock from side to side. And do the same thing on the other side. Extend your right leg long, draw your left knee in, let that leg rock from side to side, getting into the hip socket. Plant both feet down on the ground, ankles under knees once again. Take your arms into a T. We're going to come into a spinal twist. So I'm going to invite you to roll over towards the right, stacking knee over knee, ankle over ankle. And that left hip is directly above the right, so the left glute is off the floor as you stack left hip over right. And gently hold the legs. Maybe look in the direction of the extended arm in the opposite direction of the knee. Maybe lengthen that top leg, that left leg, maybe holding it, or just keep your knees stacked here. Always lots of options in my practices. Stacking knee over knee. Use obliques, come back to center. Plant your feet down on the ground. Shift your hips now over to the other side. Strong bellies, draw the knees up and over, this time to the left. Stacking knee over knee, ankle over ankle, and hip socket over hip socket. Arm wide, breathing here. Option of extending that top leg long. Staying with your breath. Bending that knee, stack them, obliques come into action, draw the knees back to center, wrap the hands around, Pavana Muktasana, roll and squeeze into a tight little ball, and then slowly release down. Strong bellies, plant the feet on the floor, and then extend them out. And draw the right knee again into the chest, and then reach that leg up to the sky, so holding the thigh or the calf, keeping the upper body relaxed on the ground. Both legs are strong here. We'll switch sides. Extending the right, lifting the left leg up, pressing through the left heel, pressing through the right heel, and then pressing the thigh into the hands. Maybe the hands walk up to the calf. The hips stay down towards the earth. Release that leg. Bending both knees. Draw the soles of the feet together, coming into Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose. Option of using blocks under the outer part of the thighs, under the knees, or placing your hands there, or hands resting on the inner thighs to assist gravity without force, just gentle weight of the hands. Upper body relaxed. Connect here again with your breath. Beautiful position to feel the breath as we did at the beginning of the practice. From bottom, middle, and top. Top, middle, and bottom. Very fluidly breathing in and out. Begin to extend your feet to the corners of the mat. Feet, toes flopping out wide as you prepare for Savasana. Take some conscious exhalations. And then let the breath soften as the lips lightly touch. The tongue relaxes in the mouth. Everything surrenders to the floor. I often like to incorporate poetry into my classes. And so today we'll end with, may today there be peace within. May you trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith in yourself and others. May you use the gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. May you be content with yourself, just the way you are. Let this knowledge settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing, dance, praise, and love. It is there for each and every one of us. Saint Teresa of Lisieux. Together, inhale, stretch the arms above the head. Find this newfound length in your body. Maybe interlace the fingers, stretch them above the head, and then release them back down. Bending the knees. Maybe gently move the knees side to side. And eventually roll to one side, support your head. Whenever you're ready, coming up to seated. Maintain that internal gaze. Crossing the legs, sitting on a prop. Again, the dignified spine. Shoulders relaxed, heart lifted. Palms open. Notice the benefits that you've received from this practice. Each and every time we come to the mat, any benefits we receive, we ask the universe to share that with each and every being in the world. Placing your left and then your right hand on your heart, inviting you to speak kind words to yourself. Even tell yourself that you love yourself. This isn't meant to be supporting ego, it's to connect to something more subtle, something perhaps that you've denied yourself, this self-love, self-worth. Breathing into that. Wake up a little bit more, rub your hands together. Create some friction, create some heat. Cup those hands just outside of the eyes. Feel that heat move towards the eyeballs. Gently massage from the inner edges of the eyebrows out, pressing into the jaw, gently into the neck. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for committing to this challenge, this 21-day tapas. Namaste. You have just planted seeds of change.